Alright guys, so now everything is all built, and before we take a look at the kit in its full form, I just thought we'd take a look at just the main base figure here first and just go over some quick things about that, because mostly it's the same as with the original version. There are a couple of small changes. One, you'll notice that mine is missing a kneecap. That's because somehow it was missing that part. It's very rare and almost unheard of in all of my experience to have a Kotobukiya part like loose in the bag, like you sometimes find with Bandai kits. Like sometimes the part comes off the runner but it's still in the bag. In this case the part was off the runner, not in the bag, and nowhere to be found. So I put in an order for a replacement part that will be coming hopefully in a couple months, but for now it's not going to have a knee. Now fortunately I have the original kit, so we can just borrow her leg temporarily, but that brings us to the first difference between this kit and the original, in that the feet are updated. So if you'll notice, and if we compare with the new kit, you can see it's a little bit smaller and just a little bit kind of nicer shape, not quite so large I guess, so if you prefer that. Anyway, I'll just swap the leg and swap the foot, and there, we're good to go. We've got a knee, and yep, basically everything else about the kit is going to be the same as the original, except obviously, of course, the faces are different with this one. You've got the cattail here in the back, which you can remove, and that would be your action base adapter point or your stand adapter point just right there on the lower back. And then just like with the original, the cat theme also includes cat ear parts for the head as well, so if you don't want to have this headdress on, you can have it with the cat ears, or you can just have it just regular plain hair without the cat ears, without the headdress, without anything on there. I'm not going to show that in this video. I've shown that in the past, but you guys know that you can have the head without the headdress. We also still have the option part here for her little cloth at the front of her hip section. Pop off that one and replace that with this one, and that'll be better for when you're doing action poses, just because it's a fixed piece. When you have the regular one on there, it can kind of get in the way from being able to raise the legs up forward vertically. You do also have regular arm parts. If you wanted to have the arms unarmored minus this piece of armor up on the upper arm and the lower arm, you're going to change out the lower arm for just this plain one, and also this gold band which goes up on the upper arm, which you don't have. Unfortunately, that piece right there, which would be nice if that was gold, is a connection piece specifically for connecting this armor piece onto there, but that's unfortunately not gold, and so you just don't have that. Some other normal option parts are going to include a piece here for the arm, giving you a 3mm hard point on the side of the arm that just goes up in the middle of the bicep if you want to use that. And then you have the same thing you can use here on the side of the leg. You just remove this ring here, replace that, and now you've got this gold attachment piece where you can stick some other armor pieces or weapon pieces or something onto there if you prefer. You also got a couple of options here for the neck. This one that I have on there right now gives you the ability to bend the neck joint more to the side like that, which is going to look a bit awkward, I know, but anyway, the other neck joint, it gives you an added ability to move the head further back. So if you wanted to have her like flying forward, doing like a Superman type pose, and you want the head like really far back, you might want to use this neck piece. You also have another piece which makes the neck a little bit longer if you need another neck piece, or if you want to use this particular head on a Figma, that's a plugin for that, and this one for if you want to use a Frame Arms Girl head on this kit. The ball joint size is a little bit smaller for Frame Arms Girl kits. And just real quick, cover a couple of her smaller accessories that we have here. We've got this little thing, which is cool, just a little handheld weapon, very similar to what was included with the Tenki. Not exactly the same though, but similar to what was included with the Tenki version. Two different versions of the fan, just your standard version. These are just one piece each, so no parts connected or seam lines or mold lines or anything. Well, maybe some mold lines, but no seam lines on this. You just got the regular one, and then you got this like action one for when you're swinging the fan. In the manual, it even says, it points out in the manual that you can just cut off and remove these hard points here if you want, just like a nicer look for these. I think they would definitely look a lot nicer once those are removed, so I'll probably end up removing those eventually later on. And then your mini little doll here, which is just made up of a couple pieces, all one color here. Obviously you have a hard point there on the back of that, so if you wanted to have her like throwing this or something, putting this on like a clear base arm to have it like flying through the air or something like that, or have it plugged onto her somewhere. If you were using that hard point piece here like on the side of the leg, you could have that plugged onto the side of her leg there or something, for example. But anyway, it's a cute little Sitara doll that you have included as well. I assume there's some significance with that in the game, but I don't know, sorry to say. The head does rotate on that, by the way, so you do have a little bit of articulation, but otherwise it's just kind of this little thing, that's it. Then of course the main event is going to be the absolutely gigantic, massive armor on this. It is ridiculously huge, and as you'll see, as I'll show you guys some size comparisons, before we actually install this onto the kit, or a more accurate way of saying that would be to install the kit onto this, because the kit is tiny compared to the massive equipment and the massive weapons and the massive new legs we have for the Sitara Kaneshiya figure herself as well. But definitely building this was a ton of fun because it's such a cool design, and although these parts are very large, they don't weigh as much as you might think because they're mostly very hollow, so you have like huge hollow spaces inside there. I made the joke during the live build that for like those back, like the big massive back like thruster leg parts, if you folded up the girl into like a kind of fetal position, you might be able to fit her inside that part, so it's just big hollow gap in there. And also the base is nice because there's screws in it, which definitely does help with the stability of that. But real quick, for a size comparison with something that everyone's familiar with, here is a average 1/44 scale HG Gundam kit compared to this, and as you can see, it's very large. But I just want to talk a little bit about the base here real quick, just because there is a little bit of articulation in this, and that you can basically change the angle of it here by just moving this lower arm and moving that to adjust the height of the main arm, and that's basically the extent of that. Otherwise, up here in this section, here's where the other screw is, which is very important, probably the most important screw. The other screws are down here at the bottom and not really all that important, honestly. This is the main one because this is where everything is attached onto the base. So that part, fortunately, is quite tight, so that moves up and down. And then as you can see, these arms here that these main equipment pieces are attached to, there's a bunch of joints in there, so you can basically move them wherever you want. There is also an adapter piece, so instead of this whole purple contraption added onto here, if you just wanted to add the figure itself onto the end of this massive arm of the base, you do have a piece to be able to do that as well. I don't know why you would ever really need that or want to use that for that. If you had just the figure itself, this space is very much overkill for that, but you have this part included if you need it. But yeah, these parts are super cool looking. The clear parts look great because you have those mirror finish stickers up underneath here and up there and up here. It's going to be a little bit harder to see up inside of there. You have some articulation in that this part moves up and down. The kind of feet are on ball joints that move around down here. The toes can also move out like that. If I just pop that off there, I can show you guys on the inside. You have some very nice detail up in there as well. The main kind of wing will basically rotate a little bit, so you can change the angle of that slightly. This flap here on the back, that's fixed, but this flap here on the side, that can move in and out. This one here on the inside can move up and down here as well. I know that's kind of hard for you guys to see. There you go. There's a lot of stuff going on with this kit. But these are kind of like the main thrusters, not really meant to do all that much moving. Much more movement is possible with this part up here at the top. I'm just going to remove it so that I can show it to you guys easier. This claw section is a lot more interesting because it makes a massive claw. So you have this part here on the side which will extend out, and you can then rotate this around. And I should note that these claw kind of bits here on the side, those can move in and out like that, but those, other than that, don't really move anywhere. Those are just kind of stuck there. This is the main kind of arm, which will extend out like this. Alright, there you go. I got it now. Extends out like that, so this is where it's connected onto the big thing, and this arm reaches all the way out here, and like I said, you just got a bunch of points of articulation here for that. Here, 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 rotate it there, and then these fingers will split apart, so those all separate like that, and they each have kind of one point of articulation in them as well to make this big massive claw. And this is the only kind of one weak point, is this point of articulation right there. That seems a little bit weak, where everything else is quite solid. But the gigantic claw is very cool, again, just compared to the size of the girl herself there. As you can see, it's going to be quite large, and we'll see it all put together here in just a minute, but that is a really cool weapon detail of this gigantic claw section. But that is of course not her only weapon, as we do have this massive rifle, which again, just to compare to the size of the girl herself, is about the same height. So this is very gigantic, and just to compare, here is the rifle of the original Sitara Kaneshiya kit. So you guys can see it's a similar design, but it's a larger, beefier, and the clear part is in a different place. I kind of like this clear part being in the barrel there like that, but this clear part over here at the back end does also look very cool. This one does also have the gimmick of these parts, these parts here, which kind of fold down. You can fold that out and then fold this back like that. I guess that's meant to be a sort of bipod or something that you can use. I don't really know what else that particularly does for the rifle, but it's a cool little thing that you can fold that out like that, but then that just folds back up into here. And then our one effect part that we have with this kit, and I'm a little bit disappointed that we don't have any more effect parts with this. I mean, I know there's a lot in the box, but other versions of the kit had more of these type of effect parts. This is the only one, and it plugs in with this adapter piece into the end of the barrel there like that for a shooting effect. and it's all good and well, but yeah, I do wish we would have had some more of these for like thruster, like booster effects, like out the back of the main unit there. But a very cool rifle. You have this attachment piece over here. It obviously just fits into the hand, and then this piece clips onto the arm for some added stability. That said, because it's so huge, I'm not sure how well the kit is going to be able to hold it up. We'll try that out. But it's not near as huge as the lance weapon, which is coming in at basically 30 centimeters in length, which is ridiculously long. It's more than twice the height of Sitara herself. It's, again, a super cool design. You have a mirror sticker that goes inside there to make this effect part nice and bright. Even on these parts where it's kind of enclosed between this opaque plastic, you'd think it'd be kind of lost in the shadow, but it does look really nice, bright and shiny. These white parts over here look really cool. You just got the handle there. And it feels, I mean, like pretty solid, but also quite heavy. So I'm not sure how well she's going to be able to hold this up. But before we try it out, the last thing to note here is her new leg parts, which again are similar to what the original version had, much more beefy. You have some articulation here with these, in that basically your knee joint right there, this will connect in the thigh as normal. Your knee bends. This part doesn't bend, unfortunately. I was thinking that that does, but down here, again, for the feet, it's just on a ball joint, and the toes have a little bit of articulation, but they can't fully extend out to be like flat. If you wanted to have her like standing on the ground with these toes, you're just gonna have to have her standing like that, kind of on the toes. They don't actually fully spread out to be flat, which would have kind of been cool. And there's on the side there, again, some nice detail and a space to plug an effect part. So like this, for example, is one of the effect parts that was in the original kit, not included with this kit, unfortunately, but that will just plug into here. And you can see how nice that looks, like a perfect fit in the toes there. And you can understand why I'm so disappointed that this version of the kit didn't come with more effect parts like this, because at least to have 2 or ideally like 4 of these would have been great for effect parts for this. And then of course, just for comparison with the original kit, here you can see them side by side, both wonderful. I really like this design, the character design and just the kit design, but as you can see, there is definitely a big difference. I really love both of these though. They're both such really cool designs. If you guys are fans of Mecha Musume kits, Megami Device kits, or whatever, I would highly recommend you guys pick up at least one version of the Sitara Kaneshiya. The Tenki version also great. I did a review on that previously if you guys are interested. So as we're trying out some different poses, and guys, I gotta say, it's just solidifying my adoration for this kit. It's a great kit, everything's very solid, and even for the big heavy weapons, as you'll see, the gun I'm not having any problems with at all, which is great. It's a very large. That said, there is a little bit of trouble with the lance, and I was expecting to maybe have some trouble with like the arms, maybe the wrists. You do have some new hand and wrist parts, which are specifically meant for the new lance weapon, and they are working very well. The only problem with the with the stability of holding the lance, is actually the connection of the figure to the base. It's because of the circle connection, and because that lance weapon will make you have so much weight off to one side, the whole kit will, like the whole main body of the girl, of the Sitara figure, will want to rotate like off to one side, whichever way you have the lance pointed, so it'll kind of weigh the entire kit off to one side. So you kind of have to balance it. One thing you could do for that is obviously just make the 3mm peg that plugs into her lower back, just make that peg a little bit thicker by adding some glue or paint or something onto that peg, just to make it extra tight. And then once the kit is plugged onto there, it won't be wanting to weigh down to one side of there. The handle on that is a little bit narrow. I wish that the handle was a little bit longer, so when you're doing a two-handed grip, and I would, again, probably recommend doing a two-handed grip on that. I think you could get by doing a one-handed grip, but it's going to be pretty unstable. Two-handed grip seems to be perfectly fine on it though, but I do wish the handle was a little bit longer. That way you could stretch out your two-handed grip a little bit wider. But otherwise, everything does seem to work pretty well, and really kind of the only real complaint that I could say about this, aside from it being a pretty expensive kit, obviously the price is going to be one thing to consider, but other than that, it's just, like I said before, just the lack of more effect parts, especially for a big kit like this and for a big price tag. Adding a couple extra little runners of some clear effect parts really would have been nice for something this size. That said, if you already have the regular version or the Tenki version, then you have some more effect parts that you can use. But if you're already using those effect parts with those kits, you may not want to give them to this kit if you already are using them. But that said, if you're not using them, then you could give them to this kit, whatever you want to do. Basically, between all the thrusters on the equipment, including the bottom of her feet, there's space for 8 like blast effect parts. So if you guys want to get like an effect part set or something like that, there's a total 8 that you could use, 2 up on the upper equipment, 4 on the main booster units there, and then 2 on her feet as well. So that's going to be basically it just for the review, guys. It is an awesome kit. I know it's very pricey. If you're a fan, then I would definitely recommend checking this out. There's, of course, again, just a different version of this where it's just only the equipment. So if you already have the main figure and you just want the equipment, you can get that. But I believe that set of just only the equipment doesn't come with the fan weapon or the little extra kind of doll accessory that you get with this. So a couple of things to consider, but overall, if you already got the original and you don't want a whole second body, it is a good alternative to consider that will save you some money. So it is cool that Kotobukiya released that as an option for people who didn't want to buy the full figure again. But if you guys want to check out some Megami device kits or other Kotobukiya kits or Bandai kits or anything else like that, you of course can check the link and the coupon code to USA Gundam Store down in the video description below. For these kind of kits, definitely look out for when these are coming out, because if you don't pre-order them straight away, they're definitely going to be much harder to get and even more expensive to get later on if they're sold out. So always kind of try to stay ahead of the game if you're in the market for buying these kits and get a pre-order in before they arrive. So check out what we got there at USA Gundam Store, and as always, thank you to them for making this video possible. Thank you guys so much for your support. Liking the video, commenting, subscribing is all greatly appreciated as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this video taking a look at this new Megami device kit. It's pretty awesome. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Until next time, hope you're all having a great day. I'll see y'all later. Bye guys.